How are you, Coach Simon? How are you?
I'm fine,
Welcome
man.
to
Fine, fine, fine.
welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Well, please tell the viewer who you are. They want to hear from
Okay,
you. Introduce yourself.
okay. So my name's Clarence Benson, but I'm also known as Coach Samir, and I'm the founder of Coach Samir Coaching. I'm also a professionally trained actor as well as a certified youth and adult coach, and I specialize in helping men 40 plus to regain the strength and confidence that they need to, first of all, find, secondly, attract, and lastly, keep a long lasting and loving relationship.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is amazing, amazing. Okay, now you are going to tell us about your journey. Okay, your journey from being separated, from your children, the battle that you had to go through trying to just to see your children. And I know there is going to be a lot of fathers out there that are going through the journey that you've been through, yes, and that
Mm.
are willing to listen to you. So please tell us about your journey.
Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, I kind of married my childhood sweetheart at a But before we even get into that, let's go back. First of all, I grew up in the Caribbean with my grandmother. I also have eight other siblings, eight other step brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, when I was younger, there was a house fire and that killed two of my older brothers. As a result of this, in her entire lifetime that she was alive, I only saw my mum for about 8 weeks because after the fire, she was put in a mental institution in the Caribbean and she never actually came out until she passed away. I moved to the UK at age 7. I then found out that my father had various relationships. I would describe him as a serial womanizer. And I just basically decided that infidelity was not something that I wanted in my life. I then got married, as I said, to my childhood sweetheart. And we were together for about 25 years on and off. And I wanted her, I described her as I wanted my one life for life. Fortunately, things didn't work out. And in 2014, she wrongly made an allegation that I'd abused, basically, I'd physically abused one of my children. As a result of that, the police were called, and I was then placed on bail for a very long period of time. And as a result of that, from since 2014, I haven't seen my children since. I've been through every emotion possible. First of all, I felt a failure as first of all as a father, also as a husband. I had regrets because I wanted to be there for my children all the time. So I've missed out on them going to school. I've missed out on them leaving school, and basically I just wasn't there. How I wanted to be. But
Wow,
yeah.
wow, that's been a journey. But what I hear you saying, you felt when your relationship, your marriage breakdown, you felt as a failure, as a father, as a husband, that kind of feeling. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Because I know there is a lot of single fathers are going through that journey. And then if you tell us how you kind of overcome all those things to become doing what you're doing now.
Well, I think for me, being on bail was probably the worst thing ever to kind of break up my family because
Mm.
because every man wants to be there for his children. That's the role of a father. The role of a father is to protect your children. The role of a father is to guide your children um, through the good and the bad times. It's to pass on advice and information. And when that's taken away from you, and you're not allowed. I mean, like I said, in my case, I wasn't allowed to. I haven't seen my children from since 2014. When I left or when I was evicted from the family home, my daughter was only 10 years old. She's going to be 18 years old next year. She's now a grown woman, more or less. And I haven't seen her in all that time. I haven't seen none of my children in all that time. Also, as well, as a husband, when I got married, it wasn't, no one night stand. It was for life. I wanted one life, one wife for the rest of my life. So I even felt, a great failure at that. I even failed as a husband. I couldn't even hold on to my wife or whatever. I couldn't hold on to my children. I've missed out on all my children's, upbringing. The bad thing about this as well was that I worked in a school. So you can imagine working in a school. Every day you're going to school, you're seeing children. You're seeing them from when they first start school to when they leave, and then in that classroom there's children who are their own age as my own children. Going home on a Friday was like a nightmare because I'm going back to a room on my own. Everyone's going away saying, okay, have a nice weekend. Weekends were a nightmare for me. Also, as well, missing out on things like their birthdays and everything like that. That again is just like you just unless you've been through it, it's just unimaginable to imagine the pain and the heartbreak. Now, to anybody out there, male or female, but women especially, can you imagine growing up where you haven't seen your children for basically 8 years? How would you deal with all of that? And I'm still going through that. I haven't seen them physically. I probably maybe even walk past them in the street because I don't know what they look like. And I just, being divorced as well, I just had to come to a realization that the dream was over. The fairy tale, living happily ever after, that wasn't there. So after a period of time, I didn't want to be alone for the rest of my life. And I knew that there was somebody out there for me, but I just had to find that person. And in order to do that, I had to break through some barriers, some fear barriers. When you've been in a long-term relationship and you're suddenly on your own, it's like you're stepping into the unknown. How do you deal with that? First of all, how do you even strike up? I even lost confidence in striking up a conversation, with a female. Because what do you say? So all of those things I had to relearn, and it wasn't easy, and it was very painful as well. You
Journey
still
kind
with
of,
me?
what's your journey kind of been like? Trying to see your children, like
Oh,
with the police situation, and what bring the turnaround for you?
well, ma'am, like I said, I haven't seen my children since 20. I haven't seen my children from 2014 to the present day, because for
Hmm.
the first more or less 2 years I was on police bail, and
Hmm.
also as well, my wife had taken out an injunction as well, so that again prevented me from seeing my children. At that particular time as well, I was fighting two court cases, one which was criminal, which was the most serious one because that was to do with the police. So then I had to basically get a solicitor in order to help me with that, and the other one, which was civil, I couldn't afford a solicitor for that one. So
Hmm.
it was really a case of like, I had to come to terms with the fact that until this thing was over, I wasn't going to see my children. And I haven't,
Okay.
and so for me personally, there was no safety net. There was nothing I could do. I just had to live with it. The fact that I didn't have no choice, in terms of seeing my children. And like I said, I haven't seen my children since 2014. And as a man as well, going through the system, the law is not on your side. As a man, you have no rights whatsoever. In the legal terms of it, you have no rights. The law is very much in favor of the women because she's got the children, or she's seen as the care of the children. So as a man, half of your time is spent fighting to see your children. This is why organizations like Fathers for Justice came about, because even though what they were doing was extreme, but it was one way of them highlighting, the fact that, women don't just have children on their own. We do play a part. And even though the relationship was over with my wife, that shouldn't necessarily mean that it should have been over with my children.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. Right. There's men out there going through this right now, maybe fighting custody for their children, not seeing their children. What can they do? Can you give us some tips on, 3, 4 tips, how they can start that journey, that the journey of healing and the journey of moving on?
Okay. The first tip is just to remember, no situation is permanent. Excuse me. No situation is permanent. It won't last forever. Okay. That's the first one. So hang in there. Cry if you have to. I mean, I cried so much, over the loss of my children. I ran the well dry. There wasn't no more tears for me to run. I can remember going to work and I'm crying in my car. The birthdays are coming, I'm crying. Constantly crying. And this foolishness that we have about men don't cry, that is the worst thing that you should say. As a man, cry over your children. They're your flesh and blood. So cry over them. If you have to, if you're not seeing them, you need to. I cried so much. Coming to their birthdays, I even cried. I've got like two girls. My last child is a girl. I was thinking, oh my God, suppose if their boys are trying to like groom her for sex and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not there as a father to protect her or to offer any guidance. So, and also the second tip I would say is with the men is never ever walk away from your children, because the minute you do that, you're walking out on your future because your children are part of you, and the reputation or the foundation that you set by turning your back on them. Remember, every day they're growing up, they're not going to be babies forever. And they want to make sure that even if you can't see them, then at least they will know that there is a father out there who actually cares about me. And so that's the next one. Don't use your relationship between your partner as an excuse or as a battering around for not seeing your children. Fight for your children. They're yours, right? They're yours as well. They need to see you. They need guidance. Yeah, and remember this, they did not have a choice to be born. That wasn't their choice.
I
And
agree.
the final tip I'd say is that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. That's why it's called a tunnel. It's
Like
dark in the
that.
middle, but it gets lighter at the end, and anyone can go through it. Be a train, a car, and sometimes if you haven't got a train and a car, you can just walk through it. And remember this, yeah, that time is a great healer, which it really is.
It is indeed. I love those tips. And I like the bit because the saying, and I heard that as a woman so many times growing up, that men should not cry. All right. When I first time ever saw a man crying, I was really shaken because I was growing up listening, hearing it to say from my mom or whatever that a man should not cry, and to actually hear it coming from you. And I am pretty sure to all our listeners out there today who are fathers who've been bottling it in, that they can actually let go. I think that is really good that we can actually look at that. Another tip that I really, really also love is that men should walk away from their children because they are your children as well. Not to walk away. That is a powerful, powerful trick, powerful tips there that you have just given us here. Right, tell us about this amazing program that you have, how men can find life, after breakup, because
Okay.
I tell you what, I love the part when you said, after you've broken up and you cannot come out and this is you now ready to date, and you just didn't know how to do it. How do you start? You're confident, because I felt exactly the same when I kind of like, okay, I'm ready to date now. But as soon as a man looked at me, I'm looking at the floor.
But yeah, because the thing about it, because I've been married for so long,
Mm,
I didn't have no reason to be looking for. I wasn't looking anywhere else because I'd found who I wanted. Everything. It's like having your own superstore where you don't need to go out. You've got everything in one place.
okay.
Entertainment. I've got it. I had my children around me. I had my family. So why would I need to be going out to nightclubs and everything when I've got everything right in one place? So
Wow.
so it took me literally 2 years before I even thought about going out with somebody else again. That's how long
Hmm.
it was. And for a man, that is rare, because most men are probably out there after maybe the first 6 months and everything. But that's how much love I still had for my wife. But then after a while, I realized that, this is it. The marriage is well and truly over. So then what I did, from my own experience, I tried a few dating sites. That
Hmm.
didn't really work. But then I started looking into dating sites because ideally, it's not the dating site that gets you the person of your dream. Yeah, there's certain guidelines. The site is just up there, but
Hmm.
the dating sites that I was on, none of them worked. But then that's because I didn't know how to approach the sites, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
First of
Yes,
all,
yes,
yeah, who do
yeah.
you want? First of all, what is the problem? And I had to first of all decide what kind of person did I want in my life. I certainly
Okay.
didn't want, another version of my ex-wife. I certainly didn't want that version. But then I had to go back to the drawing board, and I had to affirm who I was as well.
It's 20 hours.
You know, so then I had to affirm that. What did I want? I mean, what was my goals in regards to finding the
What,
person?
so
So
what?
so I had to come up with a series of things like affirmations, looking, basically writing things down, because when you write it down, then it becomes more realistic. I had to work on number one, building myself, basically building my self-esteem and my growth.
Just, uh,
Um,
just
yeah.
there for a minute, Coach Simon. How now? I mean, the tips you've given us, such an amazing tips, awesome tips. Tell us about your program very quickly and how people can reach you for this program for men who's looking want to have a relationship in a
Okay, no
very few
problem.
minutes. In, you
Okay,
know,
no problem. Okay, so basically, the program that I've created, I'm just going to give you. Okay. So one second, bear with me. Okay, so I created a program. It's a
mhm.
system which is called the 40 Plus Ideal Attraction Program. Okay, so
Okay.
that's what it's called. The 40 Plus Ideal Attraction Program, and it's based on seeing breakthrough results for my clients, that looking at things, like we said, there's a step process that you have to go through. But
Mm-hmm.
in order to be successful, you have to follow the steps. So you can't start from step 7. You have to. So step 1, things would be things like affirmations and clarity. What exactly
Okay.
do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Step 2, we'd look at things like tenacity and self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Self-esteem is more important than self-confidence, and very often
Okay.
people get the two mixed up,
Yeah.
because self-esteem is within. Number 3, step 3. So it's a step program. Step 3 is change your thinking. Change your
Okay.
thinking from feeling I don't deserve a relationship to not only that I don't want to be lonely anymore, but I also want a wonderful relationship and a long-lasting relationship. Step 4 is what we call repetition and repeating. So using things like positive self-talk, positive affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly,
That.
focusing on what you do want
Uh-huh.
rather than what you don't.
That is
Okay.
such an amazing program that you've got there. I mean, the steps are so amazing. So,
So
if,
yeah, sorry, man.
so
Can I just say this about step 5? Very important as well.
okay.
So step 5. You
Mm,
need to take action. If you sit in your bedroom
mm.
moping about how you'll never get a relationship, you know what? You will never get one. You have to take action. Step 6, you need to create connection as well. And you need to create various things, such as number 1, attention, your interest, your desires, your attraction, your conversations, your rapport, and your intimacy building. And number 7, very important, timelessness and maintenance. How to find the right woman and be compatible. Okay, and how to carry on working and maintaining a long-lasting and loving relationship.
Thank you so much. That is so much. To be honest, I might need that training. Never mind about the men. I
Okay,
think
well,
but I tell you what,
To be honest, this can work for a lot of women as well, because I've actually used this, and some members of my family who thought they'd never find someone. So, basically, it's a what was it? Unisex. It's a unisex approach. But because there's so many fathers out there as well, it's actually aimed at fathers, but
more,
this could be
so it's more
transferred to
targeted.
women as well.
All right, so it's more targeted towards the fathers. And the fathers, if somebody's interested in your program, they can
Yes,
definitely email you, and
yes, you
also they
can.
can find you. No, they can
I'll
find
give
you
you
in
the
person.
email. I'll give you the email address. So the
Yes.
email address is coachsamircoaching@gmail.com, or you can go onto the website, which is coachsamir.co.uk.
Well,
I've
thank you
also as
so much.
well,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, I just want to let everyone out there know as well. I've also created a new Facebook group, and it's called Confidence Building and Dating Support for Men After the Divorce.
Wow, wow. I'm going to have those information. Thank you so much. I'm going to have this information and I'm going to put them on my Facebook or also to the website to all the speakers that's been here. Thank you so much for having you and to sharing with us. It's been amazing having you with you in this event, the Father Talk Show, Saturday the 30th. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
ma'am.
Margaret Thorley, an award-winning business startup trainer, business coach and career mentor. She is the CEO of H&R Training Professionals Empowerment Speaker Confidence Build, an extraordinary trainer who has trained 1,500 lone parents and women to become entrepreneurs. She is an author, Single Mother and the Dating Game, Tips on how to maneuver the dating minefield, 8 tips to a better relationship, ideas on how to have a great and loving relationship, Elephants in My Stomach, feeling the fear, wanting to flee, Stop Undermining Me, I'm Not Stupid, I'm Just Dyslexic, championing the voice and worth of single mothers and fathers.